In this video, I'm going to be discussing Module 6, in which we are to analyze a popular film in relation to youth culture from an analytical standpoint by using our critical thinking and reading skills that we have developed in this class. So, the question that I chose was, how does the film portray those who aren't part of the popular crowd at school? What do you think the film has to say about such people? For me, I chose the film Mean Girls, as I've always loved this film, love to watch it. You know, I'm not afraid to watch it again and again. So I was really happy to watch it again. And I think it does a really good job at combining comedy, but also doing a great job at really analyzing the truth about high schools and how crazy adolescence can be when it comes to popularity and who's who and am I in with the cool kids. And yeah, I think it just really does a good job. So I just wanted to pick it because for me, I feel it has had a big impact on youth culture in my mind. So it centers around the experiences of a new student, Katie, as she enters a North American high school for the first time and meets all of the stereotypical teenagers of North American culture. It also shows her attempts at gaining popularity. The film does a really good job at showing just how powerful popularity can be, that really it can be used as a weapon and a tool to your advantage to getting whatever you want and being seen as someone who's above others. It also made me think about how there was a lot of outliers throughout the film who went to the beat of their own drum and just didn't see any true value in this popularity contest. These characters are seen frequently throughout the film, of course, because it's all about popularity, but the person who embodies this the best and is the best representation in my mind would have to be Janice Ian. So throughout the film, Janice is seen mocking the popular kids, focusing on her passions such as art, and finding ways to sabotage the popular kids, which is honestly a very brave thing. She doesn't take part in typical teen things such as shopping at the mall with friends or going to parties or even taking part of any school after school clubs. And like I said before, she doesn't really fear anything, which is very brave, or saying anything. She has really good comebacks in the film, but it's because she has nothing to lose. By being straightforward and honest, she hopes, like all of us, that will be appreciated and enough for people. And she also realizes that, yeah, she has a position on the, pecking order, but that position doesn't necessarily define her, and so what is at the bottom, I guess, I'm gonna do what I want, which she's a really good character. I really like her. Janice really isn't drawn to having power or being seen as a popular kid. She has self-acceptance and stands fully in her identity and knows who she is, but at the same time, she does sometimes find herself wanting to know every move and every word that's being said by the popular girls. That's why she has Katie interfere into the plastics. So we do see here that Janice too isn't totally immune to the status obsessed world of teenagers. Compared with other unpopular students, she is less inclined to seek approval and recognition from the popular kids, of course. There's a prank that she does where she targets the main mean girl who's in the plastics, Regina George. But it goes wrong on her. She cuts holes into Regina's shirt so that her bra is visibly seen, and yet we find the majority of the student body following in her footsteps. I found a really great article that I think relates especially to the messages of popularity seen throughout the film. It talks about how in adolescence, something occurs in our brain. The neurochemical cocktail of oxytocin and dopamine, says Princeton, who's a professor of psychology. So oxytocin, sometimes called the love hormone, promotes a need to connect and bond with others. And then dopamine activates the brain's pleasure center and is commonly associated with the high that people feel when on drugs, which is very interesting. As a result, Princeton says, teens become almost addicted to any type of attention from peers, which is a main theme that we see throughout this film, just how addicted these students are to getting attention, to getting noticed by peers, even someone who is ruthlessly mean, such as Regina George, who couldn't really care about what they have to say or what they have to offer unless it does benefit her. There's a line in the movie that is perfectly tied to this, like perfectly. So Katie states how weird it is to hang out with Regina. The weird thing is that I could hate her, and at the same time, I wanted her to like me. I think that this perfectly emulates the film, perfectly emulates what's going on with teens in adolescence, and just what popularity really and truly is about. This addiction to attention is seen throughout the film in the way that characters Katie and Regina act in their drive to stay popular, but also the unpopular kids' drive to be noticed. So overall, this film centers on what we all want, which is to be valued and heard and accepted for who we are. It tries to convey the message that you should feel good about yourself regardless of how popular you are. This is the true message about what the film wants us to think about being unpopular. That in the end, regardless of where you started, where you are, where you could go, every character seems to be happy with who they are and no longer questioning their social success. So overall, I would say that the message that this film wants to get across to you and make you think about when it comes to the unpopular crowd at school is that while, yeah, sure, you may not fit in with everyone and you may find it hard to make friends, in the end, is it worth it? Is it worth being in those groups and being looked down upon and not being treated the way that everyone should be treated, which is very much what Regina does throughout the film to stay in power. She doesn't use likability, she uses status. She uses what she has to her advantage, looks and money, but also manipulating people. She is very manipulative throughout the film and does a really good job of controlling people and getting them to do what she wants at any time, which, you know, is terrible. I mean, really. So the film, it shows that part at first, of course, but then it transitions into how eventually popularity isn't the main thing that matters. What matters is being a good person and being true to yourself and just trying to be who you are comfortably, being comfortable in your own skin. And while at first, the movie doesn't necessarily portray that message, as it goes on, I would say that is the main message that the film is trying to get across. about the unpopular crowd. So I think that I've answered this, and this was for Module 6, and thank you very much for listening.